Hi everybody. Good evening. My name is Barry Bowen, as Maeve said. I've been a member of Engineers Ireland since 2009, so it's just coming up on 15 years. I would have graduated from UCD with a degree in biosystems engineering, and then followed suit with a master's in sustainable energy for about a year and a half after that. So this is probably my fifth or sixth time now supporting the graduate program in Engineers Ireland. I moved on from my masters and I worked in UCD for a number of years. Then I spent quite a few years teaching and then fell into recruitment like most people who are in recruitment. And I typically am working on engineering roles within the manufacturing space with a keen interest in particular in sustainability and energy roles. So just to give you a bit of insight into Berkeley, we very much specialize in our own disciplines. We don't cover every role. We have three teams here working across life science and engineering, business and technology, and then supply chain and procurement. Um, the team that I would sit on with my colleagues here, we solely focus on permanent roles, and then we'd have five or six colleagues as well working on life science and engineering who would work on contracting roles. So I know Maeve is going to share this with you post presentation, so I won't go into too much detail here as it's all there. What we want to focus on this evening is really about building your profile, both from a CV point of view, but also from a LinkedIn point of view. And then we're going to touch on maybe some areas that you might consider when it comes to successfully negotiating the interview process. Okay, so I suppose my first piece of advice that I'd give to anybody, not just for engineers, but to any professional who is starting off in the career, is to keep your CV simple. Okay, there's a interesting stat out there that suggests that hiring managers will make up their mind between 6 and 8 seconds after reviewing a CV, as first looking at a CV. So what you want to do is, I suppose, put your best foot forward early on and make sure that you grab their attention, because I suppose time is of the essence for these hiring managers. They're shifting through, tons and tons of CVs every day. So what you want to do is that you want to stand out from your peers, I suppose, and from your competitors. So conscious of the fact that most of the viewers on here this evening are from a graduate program or recent graduates, or maybe propose to or hope to be graduates in the coming months. So with that in mind, we've tailored this presentation just to, I suppose, give you some tips and give some insights into how you should be tailoring your CV for the future job market. So again, what we would suggest is that you keep your profile short and snappy, almost like your elevator pitch. Try and focus on some of the key skills that you would have developed through your time in college, but maybe also out in the real world as well, be it working on an internship, on placement, or even working in the real world, be it in the service industry or part-time roles or whatever it might be. So your profile is your opportunity to grab the hiring manager's attention. Following that, we then suggest that you highlight your education, be it a master's, be it an undergrad. Once you have them, that really kind of trumps any second level education that you would have. So we would suggest that you don't necessarily need to include your leaving cert or certainly your primary school. But for example, if you won, an award for engineering in fourth year, or if you won an award for your projects in maths or whatever it might be, then definitely keep that on your CV somewhere so that people can, I suppose, get a bit of an insight into your aptitude and into your interests as well. It's really important that you detail your education, your third level education, as much as possible as well, including some of the areas that you would have worked on. So I'm conscious there's few students here from UCD. So if you ever took part in the engineering design challenge module, definitely include that. Maybe also include what that entailed, what the title of it was, how you fared when it came to any awards that you may have received for it, but also what you would have learned from that. And that goes for a number of different universities throughout Ireland that would have some hands-on practical projects and modules throughout the engineering degree. Also, it's really important to highlight, I suppose, some of your projects. Typically, they would start around third or fourth year. Okay, and again, that gives the hiring managers an insight into where your interests lie, and also some of the skills that you would have developed, both hard and soft, from those courses. If you've completed modules in, say, SolidWorks, thermodynamics, Altium, which is an incredibly rare I suppose skill that people don't appreciate they have. And a lot of people would leave that off their CV thinking that hiring managers are just going to presume that they have it. Include everything that you've covered, because again, there could be some companies out there who may have a shortage in young engineers who are coming in with SolidWorks or with Altium or with thermodynamics or ANSYS or whatever it might be. So be very careful to include some of the key subjects that you would have really enjoyed and would have completed throughout your time. Experience, it would be good to note both the fact that you've worked in a professional environment, but also if you've worked part-time as well, include that, because hiring managers love seeing people who are completing a degree, but also at the same time maybe working part-time, because that shows that these people that they're considering are really, really hard workers. We will often find that a lot of the grads and I suppose entry level engineers who are going into roles will not include some of their interests, some of their sports, some of the hobbies. But very often hiring managers may latch on that straight away and may talk to you about, how you got on, playing football for your local club, or did you play county, or what hurling club do you support, or what hurling county do you support. They'll often break the ice and they'll often talk to candidates that we're working with, for the first 15, 20, 25 minutes. And again, that gives the hiring managers a bit of an insight into people's personalities and their work ethic and everything else. So being sure to include some personal information like that, that shows your personality, because that will really, I suppose, help you stand out from some of your peers. If you've been involved in any university societies, be it the college newspaper, or be it the Formula One society that I think Trinity and both UCD are running, whatever it might be, include that, because again, it shows that you're outgoing, sociable, that you're willing to get involved in extracurricular activities, not just academia work. It's really important that before you send your CV anywhere, that you ask somebody to read through it. Okay, just very often, what might be glaringly obvious for your friend may not be something that you pick up on. So again, if you can join forces with somebody and say, look, I'm going to read your CV, you read my CV, let's go through it, see if there's anything there that I should change, any grammar errors, whatever it might be, errors, then you can fix them. One area that Maeve and I have been talking about there in the last couple of weeks as we were preparing for this webinar was the I suppose the new AI systems and tools that are there in place. What we would suggest is that by all means use it, but at the same time, don't rely on it. Okay, it's really important that when you're building your CV, you're tailoring around your own personality and tailoring around your own skills. What you could easily do is type in, some areas that you've covered in college, some work into ChatGPT, and it'll spin out some CV for you. But that's not going to do you any favors when it comes to the interview process, and hiring managers are asking you about different details, and you're not as well able to speak about it as your CV suggests. Okay, so it's worth the effort worth the time to put the effort into it. Okay, and worth the weight of gold for you to put the time into making sure that the CV is yours and that your own work. There are some templates there, and I've included that link. And again, Maeve is going to share this with you afterwards. So feel free to use those templates from our website to give you a bit of a grounding in a bit of a foundation in building your CV from scratch. Just in terms of personal information, there's no need to go into a huge amount there in regards to your full address. What suffices your location, your telephone number, and obviously your email address. And if I could suggest that you make sure that your email address is professional, it's work appropriate, okay, and that it's not something that you may have set up when you're 11, 12 years old, okay, when your nickname may have been, something that was fun and what everybody knew you by, but may not necessarily be appropriate for now. Very often you'll be surprised how many times we've had to reach out to people and say, look, you need to change your email address, because it's just not going to fly if we're to hand this over to hiring managers. With LinkedIn, then, just I suppose moving on, and we would also suggest that you use LinkedIn as an addition to your CV, that you make sure that the two of them are working hand in hand, and by all means include the LinkedIn address on your CV. It's, as I said, an extension of your CV. It's an opportunity for you to connect professionally with some like-minded engineers. it helps you build your professional network, and also gives you a bit of insight into some market leaders who are out there, and you can follow them and see exactly how they're progressing, and what they're doing on the various different projects that they're working on. It gives you an opportunity to uncover roles that might be there that might be suitable to you, and offers visibility and credibility then as well to some people that you might be talking to who may reach out to you. It's really important that LinkedIn users have a professional photo attached to your profile. And I suppose in the coming months, hopefully a lot of you will be graduating, and by all means use your graduation photo if you like. Okay. You'll see there 21 times more profile views and 9 times more connection requests if you have a LinkedIn photo. And then in addition, users with a professional headshot receive 14 times more views than those with a photo from a social setting. So it's really important that you put the effort in. I spoke about the benefits of AI, and some of the hazards of AI as well. These two photos here, the two professional photos, they were actually produced using AI. Okay, so if you can tinker about with it, and maybe transform a social photo into a more professional photo like these two people have here, by all means do it, so long as that photo is you and that you're readily recognizable from it. Couple of things about LinkedIn when you're building your profile. Again, highlight your qualifications and your professional memberships. May have spoke about the post nominal MIEI, which you would be entitled to if you're a member of Engineers Ireland, and that's something that we would suggest that all of you, I suppose, avail of. Particularly the fact that it's free for graduates. Okay, if your undergrad is from a university outside of Ireland, it also assures hiring managers that your qualifications are recognised. Okay, because that's something that Engineers Ireland will do when looking at your, I suppose, your transcripts and your results and everything else. So it's really worthwhile having the membership, and again, and using those letters after your name. Very often you'll find, I think, in about 3 or 4 years' time, when the discounts are no longer available to you, that a lot of companies, the majority of companies, will pay for your professional accreditation and professional memberships, all right, of affiliated bodies, because it supports them as well. It's worthwhile for them to do. So if you are going for a job, and you're talking about the benefits that are attached, make sure you ask if they're willing to pay for your professional memberships, because it can save you quite a bit of money down the road. Write a compelling headline. So again, that's similar to the profile that we would have discussed. That's on your CV, and craft a summary then that tells your story and shows what you're interested in. So if you have a mechanical engineering degree, but you've really enjoyed the sustainability side of things, and that's an area that you want to pursue, make sure that you include that in your profile. Highlight your achievements, not just from university, but from throughout your life so far. Customize your URL. Okay, again, that ties in similar to what I was saying about the email address. Okay, so that can be done. So it could be, in fact, linkedin.com/Barry Bowen might bring you directly to my profile, but it's worthwhile doing that. A lot of hiring managers, a lot of talent acquisition coordinators, and professionals will search for LinkedIn profiles using keywords and skills. Okay, and again, that brings us back to the point I made about the subjects, and about the areas that you would have covered there. Build your network, obviously with like-minded people. There's no point in going after professional soccer players if you're going to be going down the route of being being an engineer, mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, whatever it might be. Engage with content, but be very careful about what you engage with, and we'll talk about that later. And then again, seek recommendations and endorsements. And if someone asks you for a recommendation, all right, don't be afraid to ask them for one back if you do happen to give them one, and just be careful exactly what you write, because that can be viewed by everybody. Ricardo here is a member of Engineers Ireland. He would himself and I would have worked together previously on similar webinars to this. Ricardo is an exceptional engineer. He's been incredibly successful throughout the last 4 or 5 years as he's progressed his career. He came to Ireland from Brazil, did a master's in engineering, became affiliated with Engineers Ireland, and then did a whole range of other qualifications, or achieved a whole range of other qualifications, which you can see there in his profile. So I would always use this as, I suppose, a benchmark if you were to be looking to set up your LinkedIn from scratch. Okay. What that tells me there is that Ricardo has the engineering degree. He's got a master's in engineering, but he's also affiliated with Engineers Ireland. And again, that means that his qualifications are recognised. But also there, you can see that he's got a keen interest in sustainability, in smart buildings, energy efficiency, and MSI. And that will set him apart as well from his peers when hiring managers and HR, I suppose, professionals are looking for somebody with his skill set. So again, that's something that I would that's a classic example of a really good profile that you could use as a benchmark. Just with LinkedIn, you have to be really careful about what you say and what you do on LinkedIn because it doesn't get deleted. Okay. And just remember that LinkedIn it's not Facebook or it's not Twitter. Okay. What you like and comment on stays on your profile. It can be seen by your network. So the last thing you want is for you to be, offered a role with a brilliant company, and then for someone to go in and look at your LinkedIn and find a comment or find something that you may have liked from 5 or 6 years ago, all right, that you may have inadvertently liked, or something that you'd no longer agree with, or whatever it might be. Okay, so just be really careful with that. There are reports of fake accounts of people contacting particularly graduates and entry level professionals, all right, offering them roles and offering them the opportunity to interview and different things. All right. So just be careful that who you are engaging with on LinkedIn is the right person. And you can check that typically by looking at, what company they're attached to. My understanding is that um they can't affiliate themselves with a company unless they have their work address. Okay. So just be sure that, if they're saying that they're from Pepsi or Intel or whatever it is, that it links in, that it ties in with with the company that's attached to their profile. And then what I would say is also just be careful what jobs you apply for. All right, particularly on LinkedIn. All right, very often what happens is that we've seen in the past a engineer with 2 years experience, say, right, may apply for a role that requires 5 years experience. That candidate would automatically be locked out, will automatically be reviewed and then locked out of the system because they don't have the 5 years required experience. But what would happen there is that they may be locked out then for another 12 months. So when the role does come along that, is looking for somebody with 2 years experience, that person can't apply because they'd be deemed to be a duplicate applicant. Okay. So you may be locked out of an application process without any real person, human person, actually looking at your profile. So just be sure that you do apply for the right roles that match your experience and match the requirements that they're looking for, because it could save you an awful lot of heartache in the future as well. Hopefully, once you've successfully applied for a role and submitted your CV, all right, you'll be called for an interview. So it's really important that you put the effort into the interview process. Okay, so make sure that you research the company, that I suppose, what the pillars of that company might be, what they stand for, and I suppose where they've been and where they're looking to go. Make sure that you know the job description inside out and that you can tailor your experience or your knowledge, right, to the job description. Practice some common interview questions, and again, that link is there on our website. You'll find some standard questions that may come up. It's very rare that a hiring manager will now ask somebody what their weaknesses are. It doesn't really happen anymore. Okay. However, it is worth your while preparing for the interview using the STAR technique. There's plenty of videos, there's plenty of articles out there for you to look at when it comes to that. The STAR technique was situation, task, action, result, and it's aimed at allowing the candidates to answer a question, I suppose, efficiently, right? While at the same time highlighting their experience and highlighting the knowledge, and their, I suppose, the approach that they may take to a problem. So, to give you an example, a hiring manager may ask you, can you give me an example when you're working in a manufacturing environment when a machine kept breaking down every 3 weeks? So you may say something like, well, the situation was that I was working in a factory, a high volume manufacturing facility. It was manufacturing medical devices. These were running 24/7. The machine kept breaking down every 3 weeks. The task was, okay, we needed to find out what was happening here. The task was the ball bearings in the machine were going, okay, every 3 weeks. So what was the action? And there was no spare parts on site. So the action was knowing, I suppose, that the machine was due to break down every 3 weeks, and ensuring that the spare parts department had those ball bearings on site so that they could be quickly replaced. So that was your action. And then the result was the downtime on those machines was reduced rapidly because you weren't waiting for extra parts to come in. So that gives them an insight into how you went about the problem and how you solved it. Know your CV inside out, and that ties in again with my point about the AI. Okay, so you're going to know it if you write it. If someone else writes it for you, or if a website ChatGPT writes it for you, you're not going to know it as well. Research the interviewers, okay? If you can, again, you'll find an awful lot of information there on LinkedIn. If you're working with a recruiter or with a TA, just ask them who's interviewing you, and then it's worth your while going back and seeing where those interviewers are coming from, what experience that they have, where they would have done their engineering degree, and whatnot. Whoever you're talking to, be it a recruiter or be it a hiring manager, ask them what the dress is for the interview. Very often, we would suggest that the first round interview is professional, formal, okay, dress, and then the second round interview might be a little less formal. All right, so maybe a shirt and a jacket rather than a shirt, jacket, and a tie. Practice some non-verbal communications. So just making sure that you're continuously, I suppose, keeping eye contact with the interviewer, not just with one. If there's two, that you're trying to balance between the two, and don't be afraid to ask questions, because if you ask questions during an interview, it shows that you've researched the company, it shows that you care, and it shows that you're really interested in the role. If you're, for example, meeting a hiring manager in the second round interview on site, find out what the logistics are going to be. Find out how long it's going to take you to get there. Is there security that you need to go to? How long does it take to get through security? All of these things, because the last thing you want is to, I suppose, turn up to a facility, see that there's 30 minutes of paperwork to get through before you can actually get on site, because that's just going to put you under pressure. And then what we would always suggest that you follow up either with your recruitment consultant or with TA after the interview, just giving them feedback on how you felt it went, and how interested you are in the role, because they very often, because we're in a market at the moment where there's a severe shortage of engineers. Very often, some engineers will have 2 or 3 offers at one time. So it's good for companies to know if this person is interested and whether they need to move quickly or not. So, been a pleasure talking to you. There's some open roles there. I think close on 300 open roles there across supply chain, IT, and engineering. On our website there, berkley-group.com/jobs. If there is anything there that you are interested in, feel free to pick up the phone or send me an email, and I'll put you in contact with the right consultant.